Welcome back to ESL One Katowice, a major championship as part of the Dota 2 professional circuit. We are inside the Spodek Arena, and good job too, because it was -7 outside this morning. Brr, pretty cold, but that's okay, because things are about to hot up. In game number 1, it's OG versus VG. The draft is just around the corner. We welcome back our panel once more, Nahaz, Blitz, and Purge. Gents, let's head towards that draft. Alan, what do you got for us?
I think one of the pivotal things you watch for with both these teams, they're fairly conventional in their opens, but they will occasionally commit to the core. For OG, it's going to be either Gyro, Brewmaster, or Tiny that they'll pick occasionally in the first phase. For Vici, it's going to be the Death Prophet or the Shadow Fiend for Ori, and occasionally they'll throw in a first phase Lycan. They've run into a little bit of trouble getting counterpicked with that, but both teams very confident with those core heroes.
I was going to ask Will about that, actually. Do you feel like they pick these cores too early sometimes and they kind of open themselves up to being countered?
I think the reason why we feel this way is because like the Chinese, they've developed this internal meta where they pick their cores very early, aside from Newbie, because Newbie is the one team that is most westernized in that regard. Like they'll pick SCCC's hero almost last every single game, or as soon as they see that he has a very favorable matchup. But for the most part, the Chinese meta seems to be like, we're gonna first do DP or DK, deal with it, then we'll draft our offlaner a little bit later than people normally do. And I think against OG, it's a little bit of a mistake, because if you know that Rezo is like the centerpiece player of your team, then you have to counterpick this guy. Like, you can't give him such a free matchup. Oftentimes, like, they'll wait. They'll say, okay, this is a free, let's say an OD game. He's just going to carry us no matter what, or Invoker or SF. I don't think you allow him that kind of opportunity. Like, too many players in the West are geared towards that when it comes to the last pick mid.
Yeah. Kevin, what are your thoughts on the meta and where it is right now and how it affects these two teams?
Well, I'm thinking mostly of the fact that Vici Gaming hasn't played that many games recently, professionally at least. They've had like 2 matches in the last 28 days or something like that, so they don't have a lot of history here. And plus with the Chinese New Year coming around, I'm a little hesitant to put confidence in them, even though they are a very good team. But you know, OG is the same thing, also extremely good players, some of the best players in the world at their role. They've had so many more recent games. I feel like that they're probably going to be more up to date to the meta here, and maybe not make draft mistakes, like you said, opening with a hero in the first 2 that could leave them the opportunity for an aggro tri lane that OG's experienced in pro matches or scrims. So I guess it'll be interesting to see how they go. Just see if there's a learning process along the way.
Got to be careful because there's some battlegrounds on similar heroes. SF being one of those heroes could go either way. Therefore, does one of the team take a risk and ban it and just think, get it out? Don't even leave it in there so that we can either lose it or play against it.
I mean, I think that if you're OG, you probably do ban the Lycan, if not first phase, then at some point, because that's just a hero that VG with Paparazzi on Lycan. The other hero is his Weaver, that he plays as a very, very good tempo hero. He gets online on that hero much faster than most others, even in the pro scene. I think OG has to address that. It's tempting to say let's attack Ori's hero pool or Lanham, because those are the 2 you brought up Lanham earlier. Those are the 2 that on the team are most concentrated on a few heroes. But I think that's a mistake. I think if you're OG, you've been playing really good Dota the last couple weeks. Don't overthink this.
Yeah, I mean, that was, sorry, Kevin, that was the point I was going to bring up, was that now they're playing well. I mean, what was it, 26-2, I think?
Yeah, 25-2 the last 2 weeks.
And they were, over the last 3 months, they're 64-22. So even going back a bit further still makes them look very good, winning 1 in 3 of their games. So do they stick to that, Kevin? Do they just think that we don't care what VG want, we don't care what they pick, we're just going to play our game, we're going to let them try and counter us?
Oh, what I feel like a lot of teams do, and what I feel like they'll still stick to, is banning out heroes that are just very strong at all laning situations. Like things like Omni Knight, just difficult to gank unless you have the right sort of tri-lane. Supports like Bane, Night Stalker, just really tanky, good at zoning heroes, can also roam, like very flexible. Ban those heroes out to force your opponents into these potentially exploitable matchups. I think that's what most teams aim for, banning out the strong supports that do everything that win lanes, basically.
I agree.
If there is a team, Will, in Dota 2 right now at the top end of the professional circuit who are the most difficult to play in a best of 1, I'm going to suggest to you that it's OG. Mainly because, let's talk about the spiders in the room and the rats in the room. They are quite capable of springing a surprise. VG have got to be careful of that in here, haven't they? They can't afford to let a Meepo or a Brood or something crazy slip through.
The Arc Wardens
or the Arc Warden, because Notao's been fun on that as well. I mean, they've got a number of armory that they can use in the best of 1. That's scary for VG.
Yeah, I think OG will definitely kind of set the tone when it comes to draft, because they are very varied. Like the knock on Chinese teams, aside from like Wings, why they were so innovative, especially in any scene, was that they were able to branch out so much more. Like when you talk to the Western players and you say, what are your thoughts on the Chinese teams? They're like, they're very good at what they do, but you do know what's coming.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, like sometimes they'll just out execute you and they'll win some games that you feel like they shouldn't, but at the same time, like it's kind of more predictable in that regard. Like we were casting, I think it was like the first series that I casted of the season was like Vici, it was actually Vici versus Infamous. And just by doing like 10 minutes of research, we were able to call like all of Vici's picks. And so did Infamous, and they ended up just stomping them 2-0. So that's kind of the knock on them, whereas OG is so much more varied in that regard.
And if you plan ahead like that and make them feel like you're going to pick these normal, boring drafts, well, you know what they're going to do. Open your first 2 picks and then do this like 3-4 pick that synergize and make it the most obvious, like push strat or Aggro tri-lane or whatever. So they could completely play into what Vici may be expecting as a normal draft to become something different. And OG is definitely one of the teams that does that. At Midas mode, they were one of the teams to try the hardest with synergy and making all their lineups fit together well. So maybe they'll do something like that here.
Just while we're waiting for this draft, have you been surprised, Kevin, by the winners that we've had so far in the professional circuit?
Slightly, but not in an extreme way. I mean, I don't think anybody necessarily expected Secret to look so dominant for so long, because you know, a couple of wins here or there, yeah, okay, maybe it's a fluke, but now they've made it very clear their team is legit and they deserve to be the highest rank. So it's just setting the new standard for the year, I guess, is the way that I look at it. It's just something that, okay, this is how it is now.
Yeah, we've definitely got that clear top 3/4, depending on whether you will or not. Because he's not really accepted Virtus Pro into that top 4 club just yet fully.
He recognizes they're good. He's just waiting for the win to come, that's all.
Absolutely. But they have teased us, haven't they, in the past?
I mean,
with this kind of like not caring attitude, we don't care, it's all about TI, we're putting everything into that, and how we get there doesn't really matter. Do we believe it all?
I think the best example I have is, for example, so you have OG, right? And Resolution after TI was one of the most like highly sought after players. I tried to find him like a team during that time too, and I was like consulting him, and the offer was insane. Like pretty much everybody wanted to play with them, and he ended up going to OG, which I think was a very smart decision. And if you talk to a lot of the pros, when it comes to skill, it looks like a very clear upgrade over Anna. But if you look at how they've performed, they've done significantly worse. And it's the same thing for VP, for example. Like yes, like on paper, you have a skill upgrade in a player, but it never works like that in Dota. Look at Team Secret 2 years ago, where they were just like, oh, well, this is a very clear upgrade in skill. Let's get Artesian Universe. Everything will work out. No, they bombed out of every single tournament. Bomb after bomb after bomb. They just kept getting last place. And so when it comes to like these dynamics of, you know, if you even replace one player, it shifts the thread so much of what you used to be comfortable with. And so I feel like OG, they're still kind of in that period where they're figuring out how exactly they need to play around Resolution.
I'm glad that you've brought that whole point up, because I also wanted to talk about Fnatic at this point, because that seems to me the modern day version of it. You've got a world-class 5 in that team, you've got a world-class support system, you've got a world-class offlaner now as well, and you've got a world-class carrier mid. That team should be winning stuff, shouldn't it?
Well, wait a minute. They've been together. That roster's been together for
I know, but they should be
2
winning.
events? I mean,
I'm not saying they should be doing it now or today, but I'm saying they should be able to win titles with that lineup.
I think so, but I think you're going to see that. The 2 things, right, that I've been saying all along throughout the season. Number one, as you see the talent pool across Dota and across these teams get deeper and deeper, fit starts to matter more and more relative to just raw skill or MMR sense, right? And when you look at Secret, I don't think anybody necessarily said that like Ace and Fata were like the 2 highest skill players available out there, although Ace was very well thought of. It was more, there's such a great fit with how that team wanted to play, and that's why I am confident in VP with Roger, because Lil's strength as a player is his versatility. He can play anything, he can make things happen all over the map. The 4-position meta, if you look at most teams where most of their hero pools are smallest, it's at the 4 position. The 4 position right now is about a very small number of very high impact heroes like your Earth Spirits, like your Elder Titans. And I think Roger, he plays at a higher level than Lil on those couple of heroes that I think VP really thinks they need, right? And I think Fnatic's a very good fit as well. Resolution, I think OG was used to playing a style where Anna would farm up all mid-game and then never die. That's not Rezo. He's an aggressive player. He's going to take risks toward the end of the game. And I think they are, you know, it's like the NBA when they say you can't judge a trade until about 3 to 6 months out. I think Dota, because of the competitive balance at the top, is a lot closer to that now.
Okay, well, we're at 6 months. time to judge.
Yeah, it is.
And they haven't performed. That's the bottom line, isn't it? I love these guys. There's
they're-
a couple of big mates in here of mine, but they haven't
enormous pressure on them at this
They haven't
event.
performed.
Let's be honest, right? And that a lot of it is that we haven't mentioned that sixth guy sitting behind them in
Absolutely.
Mad. He has been the best coach in the world for the last 3 years in Dota, but
Whoa,
again,
whoa, come on, careful
Yeah,
now, because
5
Blitz is
majors.
standing not 1 feet away from you right now. That's big words, my man.
you gonna disagree with me?
I think Bulba has a pretty.
Heen has a pretty good,
Yeah, Heen and
good
Bulba.
claim on
Okay.
that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think
Both of those guys have won a
Sunby?
TI, which is the big feather Matt is missing.
Sunby
obviously.
as well this season. I think you
He's-
could say
he's
the
been
coach
really
of the
good for
season
them,
so
yes.
far, right?
Yes.
the funniest thing is that they never use Sunby when somebody gets sick.
I know they never use him as a stand-in. It's almost like
He always laughs at it though.
yeah.
It's okay. But I think Mad is one of. It's hard to say.
I mean,
because
he's a
I've never worked
smart
with him.
coach, isn't he? He thinks about the game on a very deep level. I've spoken to him a number of times about how he pieces drafts together, for instance, or how the counters will come and what he's thinking. He's just got such a deep brain for that stuff.
Yeah. He was also like the highest MMR in Europe for a period of time. Like that's your coach.
Yeah.
Doing that.
It's
He was
not
higher
bad,
than
is it?
any player that he had, and so he's very up to date when it comes to the meta and stuff like that. I don't subscribe to the belief that you have to be such a high MMR to be a coach, but at the same time, like it helps because this guy is in the trenches. He understands what works, what doesn't. I asked Rezo about him. I was like, "How's it like working with Matt?" And he says, "It's excellent because you trust him so much. When he says this can work, it's because he's done it himself or he's seen it in practice. And when you play at those high-level games, you're essentially playing games for your players, right? You're essentially doing the work that they might not necessarily see. Like he might run into a strategy at that level because if you're like a 3K player and you run into a strat, it's really skewed. You have no idea how good it actually is. But when you're the highest MMR in Europe, you're playing against the best people.
I mean, we've had him back here, right? We've had him
Yeah.
in the talent groups before, and we've had those arguments where he's like, no, you don't understand. I don't, this, and he'd explain it, and you're just like, please, just stop talking. I get it. Like, leave me alone. You've won. Please stop. I surrender. Please, because he's got that kind of forceful nature as well. And then with, as you said, experience to back it up and what he's actually doing, it's an incredible position to be in.
It's hard to understand the nuance unless you're at a higher level. It's very easy to forego or miss things that seem like not a big deal. It's like, oh, it's okay for me to sit in the jungle for 5 minutes, but really that would be like 2 of your towers are gone now because they pushed them and you weren't there to do anything about it. So yeah, it definitely helps to have him.
Wait,
be
that's
very
not something you should do? You should,
Believe it or
you
not.
shouldn't do that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jungle LC is not good, Paul.
Right.
Go away.
Right. Okay. Point taken. Move on.
We
we're
actually-
gonna get to the draft momentarily.
I think there's a high chance we'll even see an LC. Like Old 11 plays that hero a lot.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
good at it.
Yeah.
Good
It's
work,
not.
Well,
it's
it's a
not
good
big
counterpick
right
to a lot
now,
of the big meta heroes right now. So, especially the Terrorblade, which has just been really, really good.
but not popular right now. Over the last
No.
3 months, it hasn't been. I mean, some here and there, but it's not like top 3 pick, is it?
Ramsey says that he thinks it's the strongest carry in the game.
Really?
Yeah, I read that interview with him. He says
Mm.
this meta of heroes that are strong at all phases of the game right now are OP. Like if you think of the heroes that are really prevalent right now, Lycan, Gyro, Terrorblade, they have very strong laning phases. Like you're not gonna mess with Gyro. Lycan, he's got such a high HP regen. Terrorblade will almost always win the first 3 waves because he can pop meta. And these heroes, they scale as well. Like none of these heroes get particularly weak as the game goes on.
Okay, I'm going to call BS on that because he's sowing some sort of seed to get other people to pick LC because his team aren't picking it. He's not picking it. No one's picking it on Virtus Pro,
No.
so like he's seeding that somewhere else
No,
to make
he's
other
talking
people
about
start picking
Terrorblade.
it. Oh, he's talking about Terrorblade. I thought he was talking about the LC. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about, man?
It was interesting to me to hear you describe it as good at all stages because the way I thought about it was heroes that are good early game, but you're right, they're ones that can lane very well, but they also have some good late game that can impact in a strong way.
It's kind of like Luna, for example. Like she's really good when you get to you have like a Luna Shadow Shaman lane and you get to dual like push out a hero, but she's very easy to gank. And because of her short range, it's scary for her to take these early engagements. But heroes like TB, Gyro, Lycan, there's very low cost commitment to all of them. Like they're almost always going to be able to fight when you need them to fight. And this meta and the way that Dota always gets geared, it's kind of crazy because in the last 2 years, the meta just like, it keeps kind of continuing to be the same thing. You need these heroes that can continuously fight. That's why heroes like Void, for example, feel a little bit weaker because their laning phase, it's a little bit rough. You can only get kills when you pop your ulti. Like these heroes, the 3 that I listed, you just run in, you get kills, no problem. It's very low cost effort.
What about the low cooldown stuff? Do we feel like we've moved away from that now, or is it still slightly dependent?
Not moved away, but I think the introduction of Refresher Shard has helped a lot of cooldown dependent heroes like a Tide, and it's even moved even more toward a principle that I believed in for a long time, and that's the more cooldown dependent lineup has the greater responsibility to control the Roche pit, and I think that's more so true with
You
Refresher.
can still execute, but it's actually, there's a slimmer window, isn't
But
there?
the parallel that I wanted to draw between Terrorblades and your Lycans, those are heroes. I think right now the important thing is having at least one hero that can convert a one fight into an objective. And Terrorblades, your Lycans, even Gyrocopter to some extent, those are heroes that when you win a fight, you know you're going to be able to take a tower.
I think it matters, but at the same time, like, I have this idea of Dota. It sounds like really basic when I say it out loud, but it's like you need to be able to win a fight.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing I think in Dota. I think taking towers is cool and all, but the most important thing is like what heroes allow you to eventually win one team fight. Because now in Dota, like, you do get these original, or sometimes you get these games where you can rat out a win with lone druid, ags, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, consistently, you need to be able to take fights and win them. Like, you need to be able to at least win
But
one
Will,
fight.
what about objective-based Dota?
Objective-based Dota matters, but it's like you
It's
guys
easier
saw.
to kill the hero and then take the tower
Yes.
than it
Yeah,
is to
yeah.
be like, I'm gonna sneak in here and take the tower and run away. Like, just kill him and take the tower. And
Well,
I
but
think
it becomes like a, I don't know, to me it's like a multi-stage game where you start to talk about what team can have greater map control, threaten objectives, and then they have a better ability to force a fight on their own terms. So it's sort of how far back in the hierarchy do you go?
Do you guys?
Okay, we're
Oh, sorry.
going
All
to
right,
get
let's
into
do
the
it.
draft anyway for game number one. So
Okay.
yeah, great conversations. We'll continue those throughout the week, of course.
so. What about the best hero for winning fights? Our Meteor Hammer on Nagasaki. Is that like not the most stupid thing right now? Where it's just like there's two group tiers, three group tiers, you win the fight guaranteed.
Have you seen Topson Invoker?
I haven't.
He takes the level 10 Tornado Lift talent and he rushes
Or Meteor.
Meteor Hammer.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Huh.
awesome. It's
He gets like
amazing.
Spirit Vessel on Invoker,
Yeah.
and he goes Quaswax and runs at you.
Interesting. That sounds really
It's
fun.
so cool. It's one of my favorite
It's
things
like
to watch right now.
the only invoker I'm good at is Quaswax.
Okay, so no surprises here. Tiny is one of the cores that I talked about OG being willing to commit in the first phase. They will run that in all three lanes. The Tusk, one of their mainstays. The other one on the table is going to be the Fly Rubik. That's their most played hero. And on the other side, you cannot, again, we talk about what do the Chinese teams do that gives the Western teams so much trouble, and it's all got to begin with these two heroes, the Omni Knight and the Naga Siren. We saw that at latter one at Genting.
Yeah, Naga's just so good right now.
Yep.
I feel like. Especially with Meteor Hammer, it's like, it feels like I played one game with a friend, and it wasn't like the highest MMR game, but it felt like you had an Enigma and a Naga Siren on your team. Just by having Meteor Hammer. It's like a free black hole every time I have my song.
And what makes her so broken is the fact that you'll win a team fight with her eventually.
Yes.
She's probably the best hero at Roshan. Like, you're down in a game, you just go fight. You'll get the Roshan because you can always just pop the sleep. It's an easy disengage.
Yeah.
She almost feels like just a redo. You know, if you mess up,
Yeah.
it's like, well, we have sleep. We're all gonna be okay.
And it's always been like that, but with Meteor Hammer, now it's also offensive.
Yes.
Before it was like only ever really defensive unless you'd grab it with like a Jakiro or an Enigma. That was really where she got value. Now it's just amazing all the time. I don't even know how to fix it. Do you nerf Meteor Hammer? Do you delay the time it takes for a song to turn
Yeah.
off maybe?
That was my idea, is that you need that like half second so that it doesn't always just collapse and hit. Because if
Perfect.
you're a good enough player, you're always going to get that timing off, and it makes it very difficult. If you pre-pop BKB, then you just die, you get netted, everyone just kills you. We saw that in Liquid versus Newbie. That was like the downfall of their life sealer last pick.
Could you actually Meteor Hammer him before he casts Rage? Is that what you're saying?
No, it was more just like when he would pop sleep, Matama Man would be raged up.
Ensnared still.
They would just ensnare and
Yeah.
1v5 him.
Yeah, that's the thing to me. If you want to fix Naga, you got to look at Ensnare. But anyway, let's go. This is actually very unusual for Vici. They haven't had a Razor open in 2 months, I believe. And it's particularly unusual because the Omni Knight is already banned. Whereas on the OG side, you're going to see fairly traditional opener for them.
But we talked about the prevalence of these cores that are good at all phases of the game. And Razor's like he's the Mario of characters. He's not particularly good at one thing, but he's okay at everything. He's got a very solid laning phase. He scales okay when it comes to the late game. He's a decent anti-carry.
It's a me, Razor.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like his talent options too. Like at the 20, you can either get more armor or just go farther into your ultimate, dealing a lot of damage. I think selectively he can be good, but I think against Chen it's gonna maybe have some trouble, just because of the amount of things for his ultimate to hit. Chen can keep people alive. He can send people back. Penitence takes a hero that's normally tanky and makes them die a lot faster. So I think for reasons like that, Razor could potentially just get blown away every fight, especially against a Witch Doctor as well. If he gets maledicted, the fight's over for him. He's got to leave.
And it's just also Razor's a hero that if he is a lane dominator, if he has a difficult laning stage, very difficult for him to come back at the game in any point. And Chen is just a hero that can ruin your lanes if you're not ready for the rotations that enemy team runs with him.
It was weird though. Like, you take this Razor, I feel like there's some flaws in this, because even though he has a very good laning phase, sometimes he feels very mediocre when it comes to scaling.
Okay.
Like, he doesn't have a flash farm ability, which is always like the downside of playing Razor. You can plasma field, but it feels really mediocre. So if you don't dominate your lane, the hero feels like it doesn't add that much value.
Yeah, I would agree. I really am starting to like his passive more and more as time goes on. There's a lot of times where I'll be playing against a Razor and I'll get dispelled by his passive without realizing it and lose something important like attack speed or movement speed or something like that. So I think there's certainly late game situations where he can be valued even better than he used to be.
Yeah.
The Coddle pick is very very likely as a counter push thing. Between those two heroes alone, they already have amazing blast capabilities. They can clear a full creep wave and possibly kill Chen creeps. So I think it's a decent opening against the Chen.
The idea too, there was a recent series, it was EG versus Cole. They take Complexity takes Sand King plus Chen, which is a really classic combo. Because if you think about how that lane goes, the Sand King just gets caustic, he pushes in the wave, then Chen comes in with the creeps, you sandwich, you get a kill almost instantly, right? You just stun on the tower, the creep stuns, then you take the tower after that because the Chen creeps can just tank the incoming wave. It's very hard to stop that. But EG's idea behind it was, we're going to pick Beastmaster Coddle and just force out the waves. We'll push it in, it's fine. The offlaner, especially in this meta, gets whatever he wants anyways. The important thing is saving that safe lane tower for as long as possible.
The only way that I see it as a little bit vulnerable is that Coddle can't do much to stop Chen creeps from harassing him and possibly setting up kills. So yeah, like blast-wise, it can stop the creep wave pushing, but
it's okay,
I feel like if you go on the Coddle, he would die.
No, what he does is he stands on the tree line, he blasts out the wave, he kills the wave, so that's whatever offlaner you're trying to gank for, it's impossible for him, because if you're just running past the creep wave, then the Coddle and whoever's up there with them confirms that somebody's getting aggressive and you have plenty of time to react. Because you fire from the trees repeatedly. It's okay to...
I guess you'd have to approach it like a smoke with the creeps or something. That way you'd catch the Coddle solo instead of...
If you keep shoving in the waves in Dota, it makes it so it's pretty difficult to gank because process of elimination, and it makes it really hard for the offlaner to do it naturally. Like, that's why Sand King usually works with Chen, but this Coddle kind of counters that in that regard.
Yeah, but this is when we talk about the new patch, and I'm sure we'll have time to cover this in more detail at some point, but I think this new patch by and large isn't going to impact pro play that much relative to some of the other changes we've seen, but one of the things that you're going to see is that support items, that courier going down to 50 gold, the bounty runes giving 40 to everybody, supports are going to have more money early. You're going to see more early smoke ganks. You're going to see more. I think that Coddle is more vulnerable to getting sort of found out if he tries to play in the trees behind that wave.
So we got a Kunkaban as well as a Clockwork. I thought I'd just verbalize that since you guys can't see the TV from this distance. Old men.
Thanks, Kev.
No, I can now. I mean,
thanks, Perch.
They moved it all the way
good.
over. Gotcha.
That one I actually can't tell.
That's
is that
DP.
Ogre?
Hey, see, now
Ogre.
you've got
DP
one.
and Night Stalker on both sides.
Oh, it is DP. Okay,
Yeah.
I see it now.
So that, yeah, they're gonna, Vici commits to the Razor, which is probably a paparazzi hero. They've only played it once in the last, since January 1st. And they're going to come back with the Resolution Storm Spirit right away after taking out the long duration silence. Very nice.
And also Kunkka. I figured they were going to go for a mobility pick with the Kunkka ban. Interesting. Basically, Coddle vulnerability. Did you say Storm is bad against Coddle because of Blinding Light? Well, I remember that was like one of the two supports you always hated playing against. Storm.
The ones that I hate playing against are the ones that mess up my math. Like when you zip in and you don't instantly get the burst. Like when you play against Dazzle, because whoever gets gone on you just grave.
Yeah.
And until you get Orchid, it's a little bit of an annoying matchup. Storm against Coddle, there's like this weird thing where Blinding Light does annoy you, but Mana Leak pretty much doesn't do anything.
Yeah, because it doesn't work when you wall laning, right?
The annoying part is like when Coddle gets like Ags plus Force Staff, and you don't, when you zip in, Force Staff counters Storm like really hard, because whenever you zip in, you use the majority of your mana, like more than 40%. So it's hard for you to get the next roll in. Like you pretty much use all your mana for the escape as well, is the downside when you have to re-engage. And so that part is a little bit annoying, but once you get BKB, it's kind of okay. You just have to overjump and make sure that you get him with the first pull, and then you can usually blow him up.
And Storm's also gonna, I don't know if they'll put Razor mid or not, but if it is a Razor versus Storm matchup, it's not great for Storm there, but late game, Razor shouldn't be any issue at all. Like Razor
Right.
can't do anything against Storm.
Yeah, there's no catch ability, and he's not going to go.
It's not gonna let him sap damage.
Yeah, if you go like Bloodthorn or something like that, it's a little bit awkward. But Storm should have BKB and some items on top of that at that point.
But notice what we're talking about here. We said before that we felt like OG would dictate the draft, and notice that that's happened, right?
Yep.
The call very much a reaction to the Chen, the Witch Doctor. The Nyx a direct counter to the Storm Spirit. It's very much Vici who's reacting to the picks of OG, and I think OG are fine with that.
The best thing about Nyx is it makes it so that Storm can't play these games where he plays in your jungle and just like runs at you. If you take the safe lane tower, the enemy safe lane tower, oftentimes when you play Storm, you go to the enemy jungle, you shove it in at all times and you pressure. But having a Nyx on the side makes it really difficult.
An S4 Brew
Yeah.
for OG.
Yeah, and it's really good because it can put some pressure. This is one of the few offlaners that can consistently, I guess a lot of them can put pressure on the safe lane Razor. Really put pressure on almost any safe lane carry now.
It's really good at diving too. So
Yes.
hypothetically, if they push a creep wave and dive towers with Chen creeps, Brew's gonna be really useful there.
I feel like Vici, it would have been nice if they could have taken something like the Gyro. I don't know how feasible that is. If you
they
take
still
something
can.
like Gyro, you need an offlaner or a 4 that just has like dedicated lockdown, because you need to be able to kill this Storm with 2 heroes.
Well, but that's sort of the question that VG is going to have to answer is, can we broaden Ori's hero pool a little bit? And they're going back to something really safe. The Dragon Knight for the instant disable does have a favorable matchup statistically against Storm over the last 3 months. But again, it's very like OG. If you'd have asked OG what Vici were going to pick there, Dragon Knight would have been on the list for sure.
You know, actually, that's something I just realized. Something really cool about Razor in this matchup. His passive will dispel the Holy Persuasion sendback from Chen. It's like one of those things I totally like. I mentioned that it does dispel and purge things, but that's one of the things that'll prevent. Like if Storm gets jumped on by Dragon Knight, gets stunned, if Razor just shows up and walks near him with his passive, he can break the sendback, which is something OG would have been able to rely on.
I think the idea has changed too. Like when you take Chen, oftentimes you represent that you're trying to end the game early, but then you pick a hero like Storm who overwhelmingly wins you the late game, and so Vici are drafting around that fact. Like they're now switching to the team that's trying to win the early a little bit more with this DK and this Razor.
I don't know if it's going to be super possible though, because they can do stuff like send back ball lightning nukes.
Yeah, that's the
Great
idea
waves, like-
behind Coddle plus Storm, right?
You can do that every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's actually insane.
It makes it really hard for Vici to go for the high ground. But OG need like another hero to split the map and push in waves and be relatively annoying.
They can split push decent, I feel like, between like Brew Storm. Like all 4 of OG's heroes are decent at split pushing a little bit.
Like that SK pick. We said that they needed another catch hero. Like the Nyx alone is not enough. You need a second hero to make sure, because especially for playing Nyx, it's a little bit awkward.
Dragon Knight helps as well, but Sand King's even better to have all 3.
Yeah.
It's like 3 different ways to land your first stun and do follow-up.
DK's okay, but I think he needs damage this game.
We're
And
looking
like a
at
BKB at some point.
We're looking at a no-tail hero 5th for OG. The Lone
Yeah.
Druid, the Lycan figure prominently. He's played a little bit of Viper recently.
Brood.
And you can 5th pick Brood here, but I don't know that I'd go for that.
I'm not a big fan of it, I guess. Brood
think
against
the-
like
Doesn't
Coddle
really
and Sand King.
synergize
Yeah,
versus
the
like-
Coddle Sand King are
just-
really good Brood deterrents.
Just gonna
Brood
feed
deterrents.
spiders and they can catch you with blink disables.
Yeah, the Lone Druid is 6-0. It's his most played hero over the last since January 1st, and I think OG has all they want out of this draft. I really do.
I like that.
Very nice rounded end to the draft from OG. Let's start with Will. Who's had the better draft? Who's winning this opening match?
I think OG. I feel like Vici's heroes, a lot of them accomplish the same stuff. Like Nyx and Sand King, that's always been the downside, is it feels like they're the same hero. I think OG, it's much more straightforward for them. They're not boxed into going and having to win the early game just because they have a Chen. So I think OG.
I like OG as well. I think the Lone Druid is perfect. Against a stun-heavy lineup, you just need to pick a hero that's high on HP, who doesn't care about stuns that much. That's the Lone Druid. And if Razor links somebody, he can just roar, push him away the opposite way. So I feel like there's a lot of stages where OG just has an advantage, and then they win late with Storm.
I think you're getting a good. I can hear them actually underneath us right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
just barking out orders to
Oh,
the rest of the team.
they're ready.
They are ready, and we're almost ready. So just final thoughts quickly. Alan.
I'm bullish on this Vici Gaming team, but OG's on a hot streak right now. They got everything they wanted out of the draft. I'm going to go OG as well.
Okay, all right. It's a fairly fundamental draft for OG as far as the first game is concerned. It's time to hand you over to our commentary team for our opening match of ESL One Katowice. So let's hand you over to the pixelated Hatmen.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. Yes, we're here ready for the first game of ESL One Katowice. And what a game to start with. OG versus Vici. I'm only Pixel. I'm here with Capitalist, of course, for this one. What do you reckon, Cap? The panel, they seem to be all on OG's side off the back of this draft. Do you agree?
Well, it's hard to go against OG, seeing as this is a lineup that they ran very similar in the, I believe, the Epicenter qualifiers. They went up against the Final Tribe, and they had almost identical picks. They had the Chen, they also had the Storm, as well as the Lone Druid, and they had a Centaur. So
the
here
we'll
replace the Centaur with a better team fighting offlaner in the Brewmaster, right? So that's already better. And then I think they maybe, instead of like Witch Doctor, they probably had like a Rubik. I think is kind of one of the standard 5 positions for flies. So they stomped that game.
Okay.
Absolutely destroyed the Final Tribe. Now, granted, I do think Vici Gaming is a bit of an upgrade against Final Tribe, but I also think their lineup is an upgrade compared to what they had before, because I do feel the Brewmaster is easily the best S4 offlane to give out right now. I'm very surprised that it went through so deep into the draft, and they were able to grab that team fighter, because it is the staple of OG to give S4 those playmaking team fighters.
So what makes the Brew so good this game? I mean, are we going to see a certain lane matchup where S4 is going to dominate in the laning stage? Like, what's sort of the peak of this hero in this game, do you think? When are we really going to see S4 just go crazy?
Well, I think part of it is the laning phase. Brewmaster will be able to do okay because he can at least blind the Razor, so that makes that matchup, which is already hard for most offlaners, a little bit easier. Other than that, the big thing is less about the lanes and more about just being able to win certain team fights. OG is going to have to pick and choose which team fights they want to be able to take, because they do have a little bit of greedy lineup.
Top lane, VG will be able to secure themselves that top lane. In fact, it looks like they are actually going to be able to get 3 of the 4 bounty runes. So a beautiful start there in terms of money for the supports especially. They're going to be very happy with that, plus 120 gold across the map.
Yeah, with that new bounty change, everyone's feeling good about that one. That said, there is going to be a laning phase advantage here for OG, because they do have a Chen, easily one of the best 4 positions to secure the off lane for you, being able to send back 2 or 3 of the creeps to start, make it so the lane pushes in, makes it really enjoyable to play off lane. But at the same time, Vici Gaming have gone with a similar strategy, where they're also enabling their off laner with a Keeper of the Light behind the scene.
Yeah, having this sort of dual pressure, we'll see how much it can really do to slow down N0tail's farm. I mean, on the Lone Druid should be. It's one of those heroes that you absolutely can still play quite comfortably despite the pressure. N0tail, he should still feel fairly safe himself in this lane, shouldn't he?
Yeah. The Lone Druid is like easily one of the hardest heroes to be able to gank. Once he gets that fear up, it's really difficult, because you just can't disable both the Lone Druid as well as his bear to be able to keep that disengage out there. So it's kind of like one of the best dead lane heroes in that regard. Notice Vici Gaming is going against what Blitz identified as a strategy that Evil Geniuses ran up against the Chen Sand King idea. Here, OG running a similar strategy with the Chen Brewmaster, but because of the safe lane presence of the Razor, they actually had the Keeper of the Light sitting in the off lane rather than protecting against the Chen, and that's going against them right now, as they're going to lose hold 11, and they may even lose their top lane as well. Paparazzi barely gets out.
Yeah, the first blood there for Fly. Maledict doing the job, and as you said, both of those side lanes looking to get pressured at the same time by OG, and that's got to be worrying for Vici Gaming when OG's just sort of enabled to go this ham on both of those lanes at the same time. In the mid lane matchup, that's not looking any greater for Vici Gaming at the moment. Rezo standing 11 for free against a 6 for 0. All 3 lanes looking pretty good for OG after the back of the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, honestly, what is Lanham supposed to be able to do with this? This is why EG ran the Keeper of the Light in that safe lane, was to keep that pressure off of their safe lane, to be able to prevent the Chen from being able to go with deep tower dives like this.
I mean, they're just keeping Paparazzi right back in, as we can see. Only 2 CS so far on the Razor, having a very, very tough time up top at the moment. They've got to do something, Vici Gaming, with their supports to make sort of these side lanes worth it. You've got as well the fact that you have these supports in the side lanes. Is there ever actually going to be a chance, you think, for Vici Gaming to make a move with them towards mid on Rezo before Rezo hits that 6?
It's hard to say. I think Lanham should honestly just give up on that top lane. He can't really impact it very much with just his Impale, but at the same time, him solo ganking for a Dragon Knight pre-level 6 is also going to be a hard ass. So there's just no easy answers.
And look at this, as soon as he's gone, top lane, Paparazzi's getting dove upon him. Lamin, he was looking towards mid, but he has to come straight back up to the top lane because of the pressure that S4 and Jerax have put on, so there'll be more time where Rezo does not have to worry about a Nyx Assassin coming in. As Lanham does now have level 2, but as you say, very, sort of hard to feel the impact of these supports. In fact, Lanham might just straight up die. He's got Spike Carapace here to buy him some time. S4 also coming across. Lanham having to just hide in the trees here as this S4 Jerax dual lane looking incredibly offensive. Bottom lane, Fly will be fine. Gets himself back and away in top lane. Lanham and Paparazzi, they're trying for the chase onto S4, but Lanham's just going to die off the back of it. It feels a little all over the place here from Vici Gaming. I just can't see the plan of action from them in any of these lanes as OG are having a walk in the park in these lanes.
Yeah, they certainly are. They are going to go for another dive here in the bottom lane. Old 11, though, has already got the Maledict on it. What is he doing? What's happening right now?
He's got to get out. He's got to run.
Okay, they're going to try and kill Fly at least.
Fly should fall, and he will do, but Old 11 loses his life. A one-for-one trade there, and Femra will be given a bit of a chase down by No Tail. At least Femra will be able to grab the bounties on the way out, but it's kind of a crazy way to get this game off here from Vici Gaming.
Yeah, it really is. Look at Jerax. He's already setting up for another attempt on Paparazzi's life here with the double Centaurs this time around.
This is going to be very hard for Paparazzi to get out of the slows there. They surround him. 1 stun, 2 stun. Just Jerax and S4, honestly, this top lane just seems absolutely impossible for Vici Gaming to play. As you can see, the Razor Paparazzi struggling to find farm, even when they had the backup of Lanham there. Now Lanham will go towards the mid lane. Got the Dragon Tail from Ro8 to set up. Rezo looking to duke out the stun from Lanham. Won't be successful. Lanham does find the connection. Rezo still trying to run. Fly is there. Rezo pops the Fairy Fire. He's got the Salve. Salve will get cancelled, but Resolution keeps his life intact. Top lane at the same time, because people have left Paparazzi on his own again, they're making a go. He does have the static lead, but look at these body blocks from Jerax, setting him up for the Blaster Fly, and he does have the 1 charges, which will keep him safe. But I mean, he's going to survive, but again, he's now out of regen, Paparazzi. He can't go back into the lane, and he can't hit the creeps.
You know, the coolest part of that gank from Jerax is that he ganked with 2 Centaurs and then grabbed the Satyr as well. So it killed one of the Centaurs, but it had already blown its stun anyway. Brought the Satyr in to just try and get that extra bit of nuke damage to finish him off. It was a pretty cool play, even if it didn't result in a kill.
Bottom lane. Again, just No Tail now, level 5. He has got, of course, that level 3 bear. This is where it comes a little more scary for these two supports. A good route or such, they could get run down in this matchup.
Yeah, especially since you can't rely on a Burrow Strike to be able to get you out if you are ensnared up like that. So, I don't know. I was going to say, at the start of this draft, it did not look like Vici Gaming was doing something that they were very comfortable with. They opened with the Razor, a hero that they haven't been playing a whole lot of. They go ahead and pick up the Nyx Assassin, but they've got Lanham playing it rather than Old 11, which is kind of a staple for him. Understandable that they do have the Sand King for him, just because they needed another initiator. They needed another hero to be able to jump and grab this Storm Spirit. But it does look like Vici Gaming is just playing someone else's playstyle, and they're not comfortable with it.
Look at this. Ori posts the Elder Dragon for mid, but in response, OG, they come with a wraparound. They have the stun control from Jerax, and the Dragon will be taken down. So first use of the Elder Dragon form only gets a fraction of damage really done to that tier 1 tower, and he loses his life off the back of it. These movements for Jerax, this Jerax Chen, looking pretty good. He's got 3 of the kills so far. He's put a lot of pressure on top, and now he's working on the mid lane.
Yeah, might as well. Mid tower, probably one of the most important in the game. They're going to force out the Glyph as well. And they really don't need to do a whole lot else. Like, they can back away from this mid lane if they want. Storm Spirit's level 6 after all. He has little fear of a Nyx Assassin catching him out.
They are going to try, though, again, by the sort of Vici Gaming. Lanham coming in from behind. Rezo, he actually zips in. He is out of mana here. Does have 5-1 charges. Can pop them. Can he get himself out? Yep, Jerax will be there with the send home. So Rezo will remain safe, despite Vici Gaming's best attempts with their 2 supports in the mid lane.
Yeah, now he can right back in, full health, full mana. He's even going to give a couple bottle charges over Jerax.
Top lane, this is quite a smart play from Paparazzi. He's trying to go in on S4 before he hits the 6, but S4, indeed, he gets the creep, gets the 6. Paparazzi thought that there was an opening there, but indeed that level 6 coming online just in time as S4 prioritizes the creeps to get that XP.
Yeah, if S4 just straight up runs away from the Razor, he dies. But he sees, okay, I'm close to level 6, his creep wave is very close to dying, I just blow my clap, get the experience, then we can turn. Honestly, Owen, this is looking like a disaster for Vici Gaming, because if they have a bad laning phase like this, then they're really going to struggle when they start going into the mid game as well. Bottom lane, looks like with a fear coming out, they should be able to finish off Old 11 here.
It's got the stick charges. Saving his life, but indeed getting incredibly... Look, he's going for the zip here, Rezo! He wants the kill. He's got 4-1 charges. Is that enough? One more right click will do it, but he can't quite get it. So odd 11. Very fortunate to get away with his life there. As he will back up mid lane. Ro8 did pop the Dragon Form once again to get some pressure onto the tower, but JerAx is there. Fly as well, looking to just finish off the XP required for his level 6. He's very close at the moment on the Witch Doctor. Just need to be a bit careful, Ro8. Has got pretty much 13-1 charges and such, so if he sees a chance, he will set up for lineup. Back up to that top lane, 33-11 Paparazzi. He is now getting the farm. He's starting to slowly but surely catch up Paparazzi on the safe lane Razor. Now he's got those levels.
Oh, the 11 going for a big play at bottom lane. He goes straight up for the epicenter, but he gets scared back, and now that damage is just going to be gone.
And he's in trouble himself if a root comes through. The Bear's chasing him down. Where's the RNG for No-Tail? Looks like it won't quite be there, so old 11 will survive, but indeed, the good old Savage Brawl. It's such a spell.
That was such a desperation play there from Old 11. In a way, he hides himself in the trees. Pretty cool. Goes for the epicenter. Burrow Strike in play. But at the end of the day, it's Vici Gaming who are struggling in this laning phase, and they're trying to find kills to offset what is a clear advantage for OG.
They really want No-Tail. Lanham looking to sort of dive under the tower there, but straight away Fly will come in with the TP. And Vici Gaming can't stick around for an attempt on that. South will be brought in for No-Tail. He's back up to full health.
It's a beauty of being able to have a kind of dead lane hero like Lone Druid. Once you get him to that level 5, you can move your other support around. He doesn't really need to sit here and babysit the Lone Druid too much.
Top lane, look at this. JerAx looking for the chase down onto Paparazzi. They've got the clap. They're popping the split. In comes the next stun from the Centaur. Lanham will TP in, stuns up the split, but Paparazzi, those 1 charges will not be enough to save him. They get the kill done again. JerAx coming in and enabling his cores to find kills onto the enemy cores. As OG now leads 7-1.
At this point in time, I think Vici Gaming really need to abandon the setup of the lanes that they have right now. It's 10 minutes in after all. They do have sort of these team fighting, pushing heroes in the Razor and the Dragon Knight. They want to be able to take some of these outer towers. I think they really need to rotate either their Razor into a different lane or move the Dragon Knight up to top lane, see if he can make some sort of gank happen that turns into a tower push, because the current status quo is quite bad for Vici.
Guys, that great stat as well being brought up on the screen, as we just saw now. JerAx, the second best win rate since 7 onwards on the Chen, and we're certainly seeing his world-class performance here so far. Top lane again, setting up for S4. They're closing the gap. That's going to be another kill on this top lane. I really feel watching this game, you probably have to ban the Chen if you're playing against OG. They seem super good with it. They win the lanes outright. They've won every single lane.
Oh no, Paparazzi, he could just drive. He could die to fly.
That 1 charge is there. We'll save him, but you're right. Again, coming into lane, bullied out of it. Raindrop charge is being taken. I think it's pop the Eye of the Storm, stick to the jungle mode at the moment for this Razor, as these lanes are very scary for Vici Gaming unless they group up as sort of at least a 3-man unit. And they're trying that down bottom with the Elder Dragon form, trying to take this tier 1 away from No-Tail.
Yeah, this was the right play. They rotate the Dragon Knight out of the mid lane. They put the Razor in mid to protect that tower, and then they just leave their kind of like 5 position in this Nyx Assassin just to kind of soak the experience at top. Unfortunately, he does die as a result, but at least they are going to get some tower gold finally. Razor got a bit of solo experience. Of course, he was chased out by Fly so quickly that didn't really result in much. A 2,000 gold lead does not sound like a whole lot. For 12 minutes into the game, it's still something that you can easily overcome if you're Vici Gaming. The problem's going to be is that OG's lineup scales a lot better, a lot faster going into around that 25-minute mark. So there's a limited timer here for Vici Gaming to really turn up their team fight power and start taking it to OG.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the fact as well. You're 12 minutes into the game and the Lone Druid's at the top already. This is the thing. No-Tail, so far, it's just been a straight movement upwards in bottom lane. Ori will stun JerAx, but backup is there in order to help out JerAx as OG turn up, and they'll take down Ori. An easy kill there on the DK, and already, look at this micro here. S4, seeing if you can find out more. Will throw the call up into the air. Fly has the death ward pummeling into Paparazzi. Looks like they'll turn, surround the call, go for the easier kill. 10-1 now, 4K lead. It's getting bigger and bigger. They will manage to at least get Fly on the backlines as 11 does jump in. It doesn't look like any of the others have detection, so 11 will be able to get away with that, as he is at least able to double the kills for Vici Gaming on the map. But overall, it just has felt like OG's game from the laning stage. Vici Gaming needs some sort of massive play to swing this one around.
Yeah, between the early Blink Dagger of the Brewmaster here, the early Kaya pickup of the Storm Spirit, which really makes him a lot more relevant in the early game than older builds of the Storm Spirit, and then the fast Radiance that we're going to be seeing. OGs definitely get a lot of team fight of their own soon.
And up top, straight away onto Lanham. Rezo being the team player, he brought in the dust to make sure that they could get the kill. And that's Lanham getting caught out as well. This sort of the level 6 Nyx Assassin, he hits that level, but he's not being able to make any sort of plays as it sits, of course. A lot of these heroes, 0 kills, 0 assists on Vici Gaming's lineup. They are going to try for the smoke up, but there's a lot of OG here.
Yeah, they have the vision there, so it's already kind of ruined.
And straight away, OG will get the D ward as well. So Vici Gaming can't even get that ward down off the back of that smoke.
They're hoping with the reveal of the Blink Dagger, they're going to be able to do something big, but the point is, OG, they know that they're in a really good spot right now. There's no need for them to ever split apart, especially when the Brewmaster ultimate is down. So they kind of stay clumped up as 4 in this offlane jungle area and completely spoil that gank attempt there.
Jerax is on his way in. There's quite a few around here. Paparazzi looking towards him with the static link. We'll try for a little bit of a chase down, but Jerax is out. 11. Burrow strikes forward. S4 doesn't have primal split for 20 seconds. 11 will be able to blink away. Bottom lane, how's N0tail doing on that relic timing? He's pretty much got the relic. Money. Only about 80 gold, and he'll have it there. So this Radiance is going to be online in good timing. Lanham is going to look to try and set up for us here, but between him and the DK, very hard to get this kill. As long as Savage Roar's there, N0tail should have a chance. And if anything, if they go on N0tail now, turnaround would certainly come through. S4 TP's in, has got the primal split back up. And yeah, Lanham knows all he can do is sort of hang around, get the intel, get the vision for them. Actually making a play here is a bit of a no-no for Vici Gaming.
They've already kind of shown Old 11 on the creep wave, so I'd be a bit surprised if N0tail does get caught out by this one. As you can see, he's not even finishing up this creep wave. Puts himself in a little bit safer position.
Lanham was at least going to hope to try and look for the bear, as N0tail was letting the bear get low, but quick resummon will stop that from happening. Lanham now going to show himself. Rezo, he still has a dust if Lanham has a chance to pot the Vendetta in Lanham. He knows that he can't get out of this one. Savage Roar holds him in place, sending him back, making sure that he can't do anything to react. And it's another kill for OG. Resolution now on a killing spree. What we got?
This bottom lane. They're setting up right now. They use the double shadow amulet, so he's hiding the Sand King.
It's the Chappie strap.
It is the Chappie strap. And here's if N0tail breaks this smoke. Oh my god.
Oh, is it gonna work?
It's gonna happen.
Oh, Chappie was right. Where are you at now? Maybe not. No, they don't. I mean, it was a good attempt. But OG, they're in Roche and the rest of them. Yeah, they're going in on Roche. I don't think Vici Gaming is going to head over for this. The Dragon form is still there for a little bit of time, but they haven't got any epicenter.
Oh god, it's
so
getting
OG
early
12 to 2
for Storm Spirit.
I mean, I don't, what would you say, Cap? If you are watching this as one of the teams here, and you are going up against OG, what do you do to stop them from getting this job? Is it the Chen you ban, or what are you seeing from this game? Is it the Brew? What do you think is the big issue?
I think Chen is definitely... he gives you something very unique from a support in the aspect that he's able to put so much pressure on the lanes by being able to pick up these creeps. Also, the send pack to start really enables your offlaner, which again, they allowed S4 to be able to get his Brewmaster, which is also a bit of a problem. So I would say that those are the two key things for me, is that Chen is definitely a problem and could be a first ban, and you need to be able to have a better matchup against that Brewmaster than what they had. Their support Nyx Assassin pickup, I think, was the thing that really screwed Vici Gaming's draft the most by far. They attempted to pick it up for Lanham as an answer to the Storm. That just isn't right.
Mid lane 11, the try and Burrow strike out, but the cast bounces follow. Rezo's in with the zap. In fact, he's going to look to try and set up for another. Gets the slow onto Fenrir, but he is out of mana. So Resolution won't be able to chase further, but it does force Fenrir and Lanham to back up. OG moving down the mid lane. Of course, as we just saw, N0tail has picked up his Radiance on the bear. He's shoving in on the bottom, so they're pushing in 2 lanes at the same time. And Vici Gaming, it really just feels like now they're in a position where what sort of play can they make? They'll try and go in onto Fly, but Fly, he's got a lot of friends coming in. Fly will fall, but Ori will almost certainly pay with his life. They surround the Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight goes down. S4's got the control onto Fenrir. They surround Keeper of the Light. They take the double kill for N0tail. I mean, at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if we might even see an early GG cap. This is looking absolutely brutal.
Yeah, this is entirely up to Vici Gaming and when they want to lose, not necessarily how they're going to come back. This is rough rough game.
And the thing is, maybe say if this was like a few months ago, you could say maybe OG's going to slip up. But the thing is, as of late, OG, they've been looking a lot tighter. They haven't been making the same mistakes that they were earlier on as this lineup.
I think the biggest thing for me is that they have solved the resolution, if you want to call it a problem, where they switched in him, and how does OG then play around resolution. I think they fixed that. They have very developed strategy. In every single one of their qualifier games, you're going to see, almost always, you're going to see a big team fighter for S4, you're going to see a space creating core for No-Tail, and then you're going to have a last pick resolution hero that is going to carry you the game. Sometimes it's Storm, sometimes it's OD. They even had an Invoker game that they showed that they can actually run Invoker in this current meta. So it does seem like OG have developed a very clear drafting strategy to give themselves success with resolution.
I like this as well from No-Tail after the Radiance. He's queuing up a pipe straight away. I think he knows with the Radiance and the pipe, that's the point when OG can absolutely threaten the high ground of Vici Gaming.
Yeah, just look at the last time where they set up with that double Shadow Amulet play and went for the epicenter. It wasn't nearly enough damage. If he has a pipe on top of that, the magic damage just won't even touch him.
And where's the physical? I mean, the Raze, I saw light as well, something that I haven't really thought about, but I guess the Savage Roar in itself, super nice against the Raze, isn't it? As soon as he gets a link on one of your targets, bam, you roar him out of there, the link's broken.
Yeah, it's excellent. You do see Vici Gaming, they're currently trying to pick up double BKBs for their Razor and their Dragonite. So they are trying to deal with the early problem right now. Oh, it's a pickup of Old 11.
Yeah. Rezo zips in with the Kaya Orchid, incredibly strong. I mean, pre-20 minutes having Treads Kaya Orchid on your Storm, it's absolutely terrifying for any of the heroes on Vici Gaming's lineup. He can do a pretty good job at soloing any of them, especially when he's got the backup from, say, the Hand of God as such from the Global Potential. Rezo is sort of unstoppable on this map at the moment. They've just got to hope he's you know, sort of misplaces himself. Maybe if they catch him out with the stuns from the Nyx Assassin, they've got a chance. Mid lane, Lanham will come in. Spike Carapace holding back No-Tail for a little bit, but No-Tail, he will turn, continue to chase. They've got the dust out. So Lanham will fall. 17 for 3. The slaughter continues. As OG, they really have absolutely outdone themselves in here in this game one, and a lot of people would have been very excited to see what sort of gameplay OG is going to be bringing to this major. So far in game one, looking pretty hot.
Time to force the high ground. Just force Vici Gaming back to the base at least, as they were trying to pressure that top lane. As you can see, Vici Gaming already TP back, so they're in no rush.
Oh, 11 does get the two-man burrow strike, but hey, look, No-Tail's got a pipe. It's not going to save Rezo, but Rezo has the Aegis. So Rezo will be back for round 2. Got any chance of killing him again? They are bringing the bear down low. They might get it. And No-Tail did get the resummon in time there, didn't he? Didn't see the plus 300.
Yeah, I think he did.
I think he got it out, didn't he? Or maybe a creep got a final touch on it. Anyway.
They got a little scared. They had to do the send back on the Brewmaster, but OG is still thinking about seeing if they could take this fight. They just need a few more seconds.
Yep.
Then S4 will be back with his Blink Dagger.
There's a DD rune down bottom. And just take that to make sure it doesn't go into any of the hands of OG's course. And indeed, OG's sweeping around this half of the map, seeing if they can catch out any of Vici Gaming. But Vici Gaming getting themselves far out of it. The Dragon form is about to wear out. Ori just hiding in the trees. We'll see how deep OG goes searching. Looks like they won't search any further.
I like this from Old 11. I was just about to say, I think he's got to go and just start focusing on split pushing, because there are a couple of steps to this game. He gets caught anyway. Step 1 is surviving long enough to get your BKBs in the first place.
Yeah.
Then once you get your BKBs, you do have a heavy focus on your mid game at that point in time, so you have to win a bunch of team fights, because if you get early BKBs, it oftentimes just stalls out your late game a lot.
Lanham will find the curry at least. He may pay with his life. Rezo actually going to zip the wrong way first. See if they can find it. Looks like Lanham might just be able to get out of there. He's trying to turn, but at the same time, mid lane, Paparazzi getting caught out all on his own. No-Tail and Jerax with S4's Primal split. An easy kill for OG. And Vici Gaming,
Razor, 40 seconds.
Yeah, they may have been able to sort of turn around so the net worth lead a little bit, but overall, it's still that lead. And I mean, looking at the scoreboard, but the only 3 deaths have been Fly on the Witch Doctor. No one else on OG's died this game. So we, you know, Fly just tanking it, playing the true position 5 here.
And even him, he's almost got a Spirit Vessel. He's actually got 1300 HP because he has the vid booster already.
Pretty tanky. And we've all seen what Spirit Vessel and Maledict does. It's not fun. It's not fun.
Not going to be pretty at all. OG now just playing a general control game. They're taking over most of the farming areas. Off-lane jungle just got cleared through. Vici Gaming are trying to push out right now. I think they saw S4 at the top lane, so they know that this is a potential 4 versus 5. Maybe they can win that. But again, OG are always playing a bit cautious. Whenever S4 shows, he only shows for a second, just kind of lightly shoves the wave, and then immediately books it back to the rest of his team, so he's not gone for more than a minute at a time.
Vici Gaming just realizing they cannot take an engagement outside of the base. They've got to wait for when OG attempts that high ground push, but OG, they can absolutely chill out. They can wait out the next Roshan, get the Aegis and Cheese before trying again. Just keep these side lanes, mid lanes shoved in. Tier 2, it's there for the taking. They know that they can go for that pretty safely without any sort of worry of Vici Gaming being able to strike back outside the base. So this network lead going back up once again in favor of OG. And yeah, just 24 minutes, 19 for 3. This tower going down, it should be about the 8k gold lead in a game where Vici Gaming are yet to have the advantage at all. It's just been OG up and up so far.
Get the Vlads for S4's Brewmaster, and then the Aghanims for the Lone Druids, so they'll have this great combination of being able to take a full team. Ooh, nice Burrow Strike from Old 11, well timed, just ahead of Resolution's Orchid.
Top lane, Lanham. He's coming out, we'll look for the setup onto Jerax. Jerax really wanted that tower, and he'll pay with his life there. So Vici Gaming at least able to get the Chen out of that. They do get the deny as well. Now with the jump across, they've managed to find Fly also. Now there's going to be the attempt for the turnaround. Rezo zipping in the middle of it all. Ori has the BKB complete. They'll take the next assassin, OG. Ori, Dragon Tail stun onto Rezo. 11's coming forward. Can they kill the Storm? They can. Big kills here for Vici Gaming. No Tails on the retreat out. S4.
Oh, they can get S4 if he lands the Breathe Fire on top of it for the blink, but unfortunately it was on cooldown.
Now they're still going to try and chase. 11 comes in, he has the epicenter. They've managed to surround S4 with the chain stuns. S4 in a lot of trouble. Vici Gaming hitting back hard and taking 4 of the lives of OG.
A huge win there for OG. Fly made the call. He wanted to be able to rotate up to that top lane, take that tier 2, because they already had good control of the map. They've got to wait for that second Roshan anyway, so let's just take that final objective. But OG did get a little bit too split as they rotated up to top lane. They left some heroes in mid and bottom lane as well. Vici Gaming spotted that out. They saw some heroes, they saw 2 heroes mid, and they said, hey, this Chen who's trying to clean up this tier 2, let's grab this. And then it just became a numbers game. They grabbed the Chen, all of a sudden they kill the Witch Doctor as well. They're fighting around their shrine with fresh BKB on the Dragonite. That's the absolute best fight that Vici Gaming could ask for.
The BKB is absolutely crucial, as you were saying before. That was when it was going to be a chance for Vici Gaming to do these sort of fights, and catching OG off guard like that and punishing OG for being a little too greedy with the way that they were sticking around up there. Now the split push is going to be even more for them to deal with, though. No Tail has finished out Aghanims on the Brew. Rezo being hunted down, but Lanham, again, is just on his own. So
yeah, that's the thing, is that we shouldn't see that same mistake from OG, because now they can have the Lone Druid Bear actively pushing out some side lane, and his hero can just sit with the rest of the team, and they can just kind of be a 5-man unit non-stop. Storm Spirit will gladly take all the jungle farm as they move back and forth through the map, and then eventually they'll find that Roshan. But Vici Gaming, they know the Roshan timer, that's why they're smoking up right now. They're hoping to be able to catch OG in the act.
That's caught it out. Did you see that?
Yeah.
The passive of Razor hitting onto the siege creep, and it was pinged out by Jerax, so Jerax knows that Vici Gaming is smoked. The smoke got blown by that Razor passive.
Ice Frog's got to give you a way to turn that off now.
I mean, little plays like that is the reason why they changed the Mirana Aghanims.
Yep.
For similar reasons. So OG fully aware of this, and I think Vici Gaming as well, they'll know that there's a high chance that OG did see that siege creep getting affected. And yeah, OG.
I think the last little bit of Lanham's smoke did pop on Jerax here, so he finds him at least.
Well, they've got the silence. Rezo's there to back him up. They'll turn and take one. 11 trying to go for the epicenter. Just jump forward onto Jerax. Is it going to be enough damage? Fenrir's there as well.
Oh, nice push.
Now, the bringing as well. He's brought Ori across the map with the bringing. They're going to get Jerax as well.
Ooh, OG.
Very nice there. Play from Fenrir with a recall.
They are getting sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. They know about that smoke. Most of their team plays back behind their tier 2s, but you saw that the Storm Spirit and Chen, they got a little bit greedy in their positioning, and they wanted to be able to punish the natural thing that heads up when you smoke and it fails because the enemy team detected you. You think, all right, they're back in their base. We can actually split up a little bit and shove out this top lane, shove out mid, take our jungle. And so they wanted to be able to take advantage of that with the Storm Spirit and just give them a free pick off in that top lane. But really smart play there from Fenrir with a callback. They're giving Vici Gaming a window.
Yeah, Vici Gaming are doing very well considering the position that OG were able to force them into off the back of the lanes. Ori takes out that siege creep.
They just catch the Spirit Bear. Hopefully. Yeah, it's out of mana, so.
All right, plus 300 for Vici Gaming. They are slowing down the pace. Ro8 is back up now, and OG, of course, will want to try and look for that. As getting that cheese or Aegis onto Rezo would be absolutely glorious. He's still struggling on his way to the Bloodstone, as that sort of lead that he had at the start is falling behind. But someone that isn't falling behind, of course, is N0tail. With that fantastic Midas Radiance timing he had, he is still having a very free game in these fights, as we saw up top when they lost everyone else. N0tail survives. Now they're coming across. Vici Gaming will look to come towards the Roshan. Lanham goes for the blind stun just in case anyone was in there, but OG are already out. They do have the primal split. OG can try and fight, but they have to be aware once again, these BKBs can allow Ori to turn around and punch back.
Yeah, that's the problem though, you're facing up against a lone druid, so as soon as they show defending Roshan, N0tail immediately just throws his bear into the base.
Still poking around with Roche.
If they could gank the bear somehow and put that on cooldown for a minute, then that would give them a lot more leverage to be able to get some map control.
Oh, here we go. He's ready to cut that creep wave. In fact, he's trying to keep tabs on 11, but 11 does get recalled. He's back towards the pit. Vici Gaming, they have the full 5-man here ready
we
to try
found
and take it.
Storm!
They do. They lead in. They've got the stun lock. That's going to be Rezo falling very low and falling down. They get the big kill. Rezo is gone. 11 with the setup. Uses up this brew. Goes in on S4. S4 still will be able to pop the primal split. Now they look to try and turn. They've got the stun onto Fenrir, but on the back lines, Paparazzi runs down Fly. OG lose 2. Vici Gaming, they are absolutely doing it here. Despite the odds, they are taking these fights against OG.
Go, go, go. Go for Roshan. Go for Roshan. See if they can actually get this maybe. Oh man, that bottom lane's still pushing out though. Oh, this bear is so annoying. They actually had to bring Ori to deal with this bear.
That's the power of the
They're going to pull him back, but I think...
do they still have time to do this before OG's back?
Time. It's going to be close.
Dragonflawn's about to wear off.
There's only one bear. There's no Brewmaster ultimate.
I think this is risky.
It is. But if they can actually kill the bear...
But S4 jumps in. He doesn't have primal split. If they could kill this bear at another time, that's going to be absolutely huge.
Oh, no.
He just... No, yeah, he sent it back.
Yeah, he sent it back just in time. It was like less than 100 HP.
That looked very, very close. I mean, losing the bear, that would have been 80 seconds without it. That was a little too close for comfort there for OG.
And then there wouldn't be this presence at the bottom lane, which again, Vici Gaming are going to have to address.
I mean, if you're Vici Gaming, is it... I mean, at the moment, they've wall, lane, death wall, but Ori should be fine. Gets himself out of there. They're sending old 11 back at the moment to deal with the bear. Do you think that's, out of the 5 heroes, that's the best hero to sort of say, you've got to cover that bottom lane?
Well, Fenrir gets picked off, and Ori is already at half HP. He really doesn't want to blow his BKB before the Roshan fight. If that goes on cooldown as well.
How do they deal with this bear, though? It's...
To speak of the Sand King real quickly, he's the fastest pusher when it comes to shoving out the lanes. You literally hit one creep, your burrow strike through, hit the range creep, the whole wave pops. So that's what they're trying to do, is shove out the waves so there isn't that presence at bottom. But he's just not doing it fast enough, and they're going to be able to get Roshan as a result.
As we can see, Vici Gaming, they have closed the gap, but the problem is that even though the net worth is looking closer to even, that lone druid is just causing so many issues.
Oh no, they didn't get the stun out from the Nyx Assassin. Now, they had a potential kill on that bear if they managed to get the Razor over there in time, but...
And Rezo, actually with, the way that the game's going, he's he's going to pass up on the Bloodstone and just go straight for the BKB, or at least he's got it queued up at the moment if he does want to get the BKB, and understandably so. We've seen in the last few fights, he does get stun control. We're seeing Vici Gaming doing a very good job at prioritizing Rezo, making sure that the Storm cannot go ham in these games.
Yeah, the combination, Aegis, Cheese, and a BKB, the team fights just become a whole nother monster for Vici Gaming. That being said, they are getting some items of their own. If they can actually complete this Bloodthorn from the Dragonite, he becomes a lot scarier. For example, they can now focus the Brewmaster. If he picks up that item, Storm Spirit is obviously a little bit difficult. His BKB. And Aghanims is the choice here from Old 11.
Okay. I like that. I mean, having that extra range certainly will be quite crucial in terms of maybe getting on top of N0tail himself.
Yeah. I do like the fact that Resolution looked like he was going to go for Linken's at one point in time, but because of Old 11's timing on the Force Staff and Yules, he already has an item to be able to break the Linken's and still go for the Burrow Strike stun. So.
And down bottom, they have got an Arcane Rune here as well for Reza.
Oh.
See if they're able to do anything with this. And so he'll prepare, pick it up. And indeed, that is the BKB out into the hands of Rezo as well. They've also got the gem out. They'll shrine up, get Rezo back up to full mana, and they'll look to try and strike Vici Gaming off guard with this BKB pickup on the Storm, which they might not expect as he picks it up, you know, full, didn't have any of the components in. Let's see if they're ready and prepared for the BKB still.
Yeah, the sound of that BKB going off on the Storm Spirit could be the death knell for Vici Gaming. But they are playing this smart, holding on to their high ground, waiting until OG push into them, not risking any sort of engagement outside of the base.
So, I'm going to open it onto the bear. I'll knock it back in as well, but Rezo, look at this, straight onto the backlines, pops the BKB, looks towards Fenrir. Fenrir's going to be taken down. The BKBs from Vici Gaming have also been popped. Paparazzi trying to take Rezo down. Rezo still able to survive with that final zip, gets him out of there. Could look to swap the cheese and get himself back to full if they do want to go back in.
It's so easy for OG to be able to force this, right? Because they have the send back on the bear.
Oh, yeah.
So the bear can always go in, and it's so tanky, it's not going to get burst down fast enough. They can send it back, and then they've got a Storm Spirit with Aegis, so he can freely jump in as well. It just forces Vici Gaming to use certain things that they don't want to, like the Dragon Form BKB from this Dragonite. OG just go right back in like 10 to 15 seconds.
Bottom lane, quick stun from 11 to hold back the bear. Was chasing down the courier. We can see a few of the old Alfredos have been taken down today. Nice money for the Kotl as well, 600 gold, all adds up. Back to a 5k lead still, N0tail being the overarching issue. They are still yet to be able to take down this Lone Druid and put a stop to his farm. AC, he's going for his own BKB now to make sure there really is no way that Vici Gaming can kill the Lone Druid if N0tail's positioning has been on point, and so far it has.
See, BKB, Lone Druid, that's going to be a problem as well. I'm trying to think of like what Vici Gaming is going to be able to do if we start looking, if they manage to complete this hold up against the Aegis Cheese that is on the side of OG right now. And we look past that to 40, 45, 50 minutes. Because we said from the draft, look, OG does have the better late game, and that's true, but it's always a possibility that you can outplay that drafting disadvantage when it comes to the late game. So can a Razor and a Dragonite through their itemization win this?
They want that bear. Let's see if they can get it this time. They are going to get a good link on it, good amount of stuns, but there is backup. OG can look to try and fight in there straight away, zipping in. Resolution gets the silence off, they get the pull back. Can they kill the Nyx assassin? They can't quite. Glimmercave will keep Lanham alive. Resolution still trying to search for the BKB, but he can't quite do it. Ori getting very, very low here as N0tail brings the Baron on the front lines. They're still alive though on Vici Gaming, trying to get back and out of this one. Fly stands to the side, he's been mana drained up by this Keeper of the Light, so he has to hold back. No one will fall.
Paparazzi is playing these fights really well. He is identifying the only thing he can do in these fights when they go for the strain on the bear. He gets a lot of physical damage himself. A Storm Spirit jumps in and pops his BKB. He just turns and lays all of his physical damage on the Storm, and every single time it's forcing Resolution to repeatedly jump and potentially just leave the team fight because of the physical damage, despite having popped his BKB.
Bottom lane. 11, he comes out on his own, trying to shove it down. He has got the burst strike, creating some distance. The dust is out upon him. He's actually going to be saved there as his team come in big with the 4-star Glimmercape plays to rip him away from OG's grasps.
Yeah, we could see the power of the Aghanim Scepter pick up from that as well. That really long burrow strike was able to get him out of there. The Shiva's pickup for the Razor is coming in pretty soon. That's definitely a big one. We do have some certain level 25 talents that are quite important. Longer duration stun from the Dragon Tail or 40 strength. It's a huge upgrade when it comes to the damage output of that carry Dragonite. He's also going to try and pick up a little bit more tank here.
Get that Satanic on as soon as he can, but still quite far away for Ori. And they've got the Bloodstone now in Reza, so they'll be really looking to try and make something happen with this. There is a DD up top. See if OG catches wind of that, or if Vici Gaming will be able to get their own hands upon it.
I think the biggest thing that Vici Gaming has going for them right now is that because they play so grouped up, and they have certain heroes like the Nyx Assassin, who's relatively tanking, this Keeper of the Light is actually like kind of difficult for Resolution just to be able to come in and pop immediately, especially with the way that Paparazzi is focusing Storm every single time. So it's making these Storm jump-ins, it doesn't actually take away a critical hero like you would usually see in the Storm Sphere late games, where you have some like squishy agility carry or something that just can be jumped. Oh no!
That's a big zip from Rezo. Straight in onto the Keeper of the Light with the double damage. Is he going to have it? That soul burn damage will be enough. Rezo has to zip straight back out though, getting incredibly low.
Oh, they got the Orchid on S4. He's dead.
Straight away. He can't get the split off. S4 to fall.
Oh, they cut Storm!
They've got to go fly as well. Look at this chase down. Paparazzi looking for fly. 11 with the Soundstorm going for Rezo. The send back will be there in time to get Resolution out of there. The 11 with that Burrow Strike has his eyes on Jerax. The rest of his team have had to back up because bottom lane. The Lone Druid Bear takes the tower. So Vici Gaming, I mean, they're getting these crucial kills. As you said, the Orchid catching S4 off guard there as they chain locked him down. They lose a tier 3 bottom. It's still, you can really feel the pressure that Vici Gaming's up against. That, you know, they can make these plays, but they have to be so scared of the split push that will come each and every time. You can guarantee Lone Druid at no tail, he's going to be on those side lanes during every fight that Vici Gaming look for.
So this is big. A Meteor Hammer for the Nyx Assassin. Now, what this does in this team fight is that he can go and scout out, say, the Storm Spirit when Vici Gaming's like going for some sort of smoke gank or something. Say he scouts the Storm. He just opens with Impale and straight up throws down the Meteor Hammer, and it's going to be a chain stun, which they can then follow it up with the Burrow Strike, with the Dragonite stun as well. It is so critical for Vici Gaming to be able to finally get an opportunity where they can be the ones pushing out onto OG. I think they have a legitimate shot of being able to win this game. With these item pickups, I think this game is actually...
Look.
Oh, that was
that
the
looked
play!
like a hit.
Oh, no.
That was very close.
They were so close.
Yeah,
they get that pick off, like that opens up so much of the game for them.
Oh, that's it from Reza. Couldn't have come at a greater time there.
Unfortunately, the Lone Druid did manage to get that tier 3, and that now opens up the shrines, which is just more gold that's eventually going to flood into OG. A combination of Chen creeps as well as the Spirit Bear means that they could just kind of throw stuff at the shrines. They're going to die sometime. One thing that NoTail is doing very smartly is when he goes for these pushes, especially into the high ground, he'll turn off his Radiance to make sure that Nyx Assassin doesn't get that free Spike Hair-based stun onto the Bear and then leads with the Impale after that. So that's actually how he managed to get the tier 3 at bottom lane without losing his Bear, because the Spike Carapace didn't do anything for him.
Lanham was on the hunt. There's a sentry down though. I send the Troll Summoner up here, and that will let them know he's there, but they'll cut down that Summoner. Take away one of Jerax's creeps. 42 minutes, 6k advantage still for OG, 24-13. Roshan is going to be up very shortly, and that will be the Refresher Shard as well. Not really, there's not really any sort of big Refresher Shard heroes, I guess, on OG. I guess S4, because, until he hits the 25, the cooldown is still pretty damn long, so I guess...
Possibly NoTail, if he starts having a problem losing his Bear.
True, that's true.
That's
It'd be nice to hang on for that, yeah.
But I think Vici Gaming, they would love having
quick with the blink out, but they've still got the first stun. They're moving straight in onto the Bruised anyway to get him out. The Hand of God will be popped, but the stun control is just too much.
Oh, no, not again!
Not the Sembacks. Those
It's
sort
so
of saves,
unfair.
it really feels like that. You can see why pros just ban out Chen, because losing kills like that to a Semba, it's got to feel so frustrating.
All right, time to clear out these Chen creeps. Get rid of them. Sitting in the Roshan pit, not acceptable. They blew their dragon form, but they're not comfortable taking Roshan themselves. Oh my god, what a stun!
The stun there for Jax with the control. Resolution's found the setup, goes straight in immediately. They're splitting it up here as S-Force pushes back the rest of Vici Gaming with the split. The BKB's about to fall out. They get the root on the bear. That's going to be already down. Meteor Hammer, it's nice. Hits onto 2. Will hold them back. There's actually going to be a buyback from Ori. He wants to get in on this fight. Paparazzi busts the BKB.
what a
The
stun!
bonus strike comes through. They manage to find No Tail. No Tail down for 80 seconds. He'll buy back as well as Fly. OG want to go full in on this Roche attempt. Jax getting knocked back. The stun comes out as well. Jax in trouble. They'll bring down the Chen. He is without buyback, but No Tail's brought back into this. He sent the bear down bottom.
He's just hunting for more, and he found one.
He's got the Yule set up. They'll go in with the stun. Fly did buy back for this. He is not going to get himself out either. That's going to be Fly down on a dieback. The bear is pushing in bottom though. No Tail trying to do as much as he can with this, but now the TP's come back. No Tail has to get his bear out of there.
It's fine. They can still do Roshan. They just have to make sure, just push out bottom lane.
You've got to watch
bit,
Storm though.
Group to 5.
Surely Reza can try and go for the steal play.
Yeah, I
think
do
Reza's
not
a little
think.
scared.
I think they could kind of chill out. I don't think they need to force this onto Roshan right now. Like, they can wait until the Razor joins them again.
They're trying for this bear, but that BKB that No Tail's had to pick up to keep that bear safe. We'll get the bear
really
out
good
of it.
resolution. He knows that the Razor's by himself in this bottom lane, but he actually just barely missed him.
Radiant are scanning.
Razor went left, Reza went right.
They're in the Roche. Roshan down to half health. OG will have the support in 25 seconds. As we said, Vici Gaming's lineup doesn't take Roche that quickly. With Paparazzi now, that'll speed things up. And it looks like they will get it. Rezo, he's down towards the bottom. No one around the pit. So that will be, and it's a big one for Vici Gaming, the refresher shard as well. They'll grab it all. They'll give that to Paparazzi for the double eye of the Storms in the team fights. Vici Gaming, they're turning this game around. 3K lead now for them. Paparazzi, he is just shot up on the charts. He's 23K net worth, quite far ahead of the Storm. Still obviously behind the Lone Druid, and that is the biggest issues we're seeing. Still these split push plays, but you have to give credit to Vici Gaming for the way that they're dealing with this game.
Absolutely. Lotus Orb pick up soon for Old 11. All of a sudden, Vici Gaming, they're very flush. They have a lot of gold in their coffers, and they're going to be able to finally pick up some of those later game items.
Oh, yeah.
They catch the bear, or at least force the BKB out.
Hex on 11. This is a big one, 11. I mean, he's nearly as farmed as his DK. This Sand King has been going off this game. He's got the 25, incredibly tanky with that 35 health regen.
They give the refresher shard to the Razor.
Yeah. I think that's the best call, isn't it? The Eye of the Storm.
Double Eye of the Storm's
Pretty
really
nice.
important.
I mean, sure, it's not an Aghanim's Eye of the Storm, but
Yeah.
it still does quite a bit, and you haven't got the, well, yeah, you haven't got the interval.
Because again, he doesn't have the Shivas yet onto Resolution.
No.
So he does not have a whole lot of armor to be able to work with. And we're seeing that in every single one of these fights, is that he's being just focused down upon by the DK and the Razor with their physical damage to make sure that Storm can't just sit there with his BKB and focusing down like some support.
Nice out, trying to push out top. Again, every time now, Vici Gaming on the hunt for this bear. See what they can do. Can they kill it?
Does not have BKB
Does
for
not.
3
4
seconds.
seconds. It's going to be back up after this Hex. Is that going to be enough to save it?
Oh, nice dodge.
It isn't. They've got it. They've got the bear.
Paparazzi with a cute little maneuver there, just barely going outside of the Savage Roar radius when it goes off.
Now is those sort of 2 minutes where No Tail has to play very carefully with their Spirit Bear, because if Vici Gaming do find a chance to take it down a second time, that's a huge opening for them to group up and push. Such a massive amount of this net worth that OG have that at the moment is keeping them even with Vici Gaming will be lost. And Lanham, he's got eyes on the bear.
Ooh.
No Tail senses something's up. Does bring it back to himself on the top lane, keeping it very mobile now between bottom and top.
Yeah, OG not feeling very comfortable with this game at all, despite where they were a good 20 minutes ago, where they had, you know, close to a 7,000 gold lead most of the map and a Storm Spirit and Lone Druid free farming.
I mean, what do you think the biggest problem has been for OG that's allowed Vici Gaming to turn this around? Was it just sort of those mistakes that they made over in Vici Gaming's jungle at the sort of the tier 2 attempt?
I think there were a couple very notable mistakes from OG when it comes to positioning and how they could have just controlled the map a little bit better without having some of these team fights lead with a couple of pickoffs that just turns into a numbers game. That was one thing. I think Vici Gaming's itemization has been very good. S4 might have needed a BKB. I think he felt, because he just goes for the Assault Cuirass, that, okay, the Chen's always going to be able to send me back in time, but we saw in at least 2 different fights where that was not the case. They did manage to burst down the Brewmaster during the timing of that Bloodthorn.
Yeah, I think the early sort of Orchid pickup for Orion, as you say now, Bloodthorn was absolutely crucial. Yeah, the itemization incredibly smart from Vici Gaming.
And again, another one is the Storm Spirit just does not feel very effective because of the fact he cannot burst down any of these heroes. Every single time he's jumping to the back line, he's going for Fenrir, but when he's so threatened by the physical damage that he has to, even if he does kill Fenrir, jump out, and he's used his BKB and his HP pool is like down to a quarter, then you can't really, it's basically you've made a 1-for-1 trade-off, right? Where you've killed the Keeper of the Light, but your Storm Spirit can't really go back in and continue the fight.
Bottom lane again, but look, the setup's there. They are going to try finish off this bear with the Bloodthorn. They're doing a good job of it. The BKB will come out though. And again, we'll keep it safe, just long enough for No-Tail to get it out of there.
Nyx is trying to scout things out right now. There is vision of him though, as he goes through this area.
Rizzo will zip out there, doesn't want to mess around with Lanham. Bear straight out into mid, has Abyssal Blade complete. Fenrir trying to control it, won't be fortunate enough to do so. Lanham, he's got eyes on S4. They could look to pick off the Brew, but S4 continuing to blink back to base underneath that tower. Will stay safe for now.
This bear also feels very ineffective for a lot of these team fights because there is the static link coming out from the Razor that kills all of his damage, and then there's also this blind as well as the mana link that the bear has a hard time dealing with. So when your Storm Spirit can't really burst anybody down and the Lone Druid bear can't get in there and actually deal any damage, then like at that point time is left, you know. Before you were winning fights because Brewmaster S4 was just able to kind of carry it through. The Brewmaster's effectiveness going into late game, though, is a lot different. Once you get to that 25 and you get that minus 65-second primal split cooldown, you become a hero who's able to use his ultimate constantly, but it's primarily for disables. It's not a ton of real carry damage coming out from that ultimate.
No-Tail as well, just making sure his bear's got all the options. He has picked up his Shadow Blade. I imagine he will send that off to the bear. So the Shadow Blade and the BKB, lots of ways to get that bear out of there. But on the side, they have found Lanham.
Oh, they got him with the sun.
They've got backup. They go straight in. They've got the Hex to follow. Rezzo, he's in a lot of trouble. But they have quite enough. They knocked him back with the Coddle, which knocked him out of the stun of Lanham. So a bit of a misplay there for Vici Gaming. Will mean that Rezzo still has a bit of a chance. Saying that, though, he is out of mana.
Yes! He stunned himself with a Remnant. Beautiful!
Oh.
That is exactly what Lanham needed to do. I was watching it. It was like in sheer frustration. He was running through Remnant after Remnant, waiting for his cooldown, and he left the last one. And he just stood there waiting for his Spike Carapace to come off cooldown.
That was
so big.
He was carrying the gem there, but I don't think Vici Gaming were aware of that. There is a gem in the trees. So
that's weird. They kind of should have known, considering the Storm did jump onto Nyx's as an invis like that. But they're probably a little bit excited here. They're finally in a really good position to be the ones on the offensive against OG.
This game from Vici Gaming, I mean, as I said, as you can see from their net worth, it's going up towards that 10K, and it was solidly in OG's hands. But now, back towards Vici Gaming.
And this is really cool. They've I saw this Satanic pickup from the Dragon Knight set up for a really long time. It looks like they've caught the bear.
He should have the chance to BKB. No.
Oh, he holds it. He wants to save that BKB for his fresh bear.
Rezzo, he's looking towards old 11. I mean, Old 11 is very tanky. You gotta remember with that 35 HP regen, he's fine. And now the turnaround comes in. Oh my goodness, the stun onto 2. They blast through the midst of it all. The Meteor Hammer will come down onto the bear. They've found 2 of OG. Old 11 still alive here with the Glimmer Cape. This Sand King too tanky. He gets out of it. No Tail.
Soldier Bear's dead.
11 comes back in. They want to try and go for this No Tail kill. Jump forward from Lanham. He finds the Impale. OG lose No Tail. He's not got buyback on the Lone Druid. He's dead for 100 seconds. The supports of OG buy back, but without that Lone Druid, which is the majority of their net worth, I don't know what OG can do in terms of holding this. Vici Gaming, they're straight in.
Just lost.
I think this is game over. Vici Gaming showing us what. I mean, at the start, I honestly could have sworn that OG was going to walk away with this one, but
So did I.
I
We were
thought
so
this game was
certain.
over.
Because OG, I mean, there's several things here. Vici
Yes.
Gaming, they just turned it on going into the mid game. They did really good just playing survival mode, where they dealt with that Lone Druid Bear split push really well. That was something that Old 11 addressed in his constant split pushing, going out and dealing with the bear pushes. He did that very well. I think the team as a whole played around each other very well against all of these team fights. They never let the Storm Spirit jump in, get a kill, jump out. They always made sure to try and punish him with physical damage. Even when the BKB came up, they made sure they made the Storm feel threatened.
I mean, the game, it isn't over yet. So as much as we saw it swing back Vici's way, maybe we're going to go back the other way again, but it seems very unlikely in this position. They will be able to hold off buying back on the Lone Druid because they did have the tier 2 still bottom. Vici Gaming didn't seem to want to stick around and try and push for the base as they want to play it safe. They go for Roshan, keeping this advantage. Vici Gaming 20k gold lead now. They have just played this game perfectly from the mid game onwards. The lanes, as we said, they were absolutely falling apart, but OG's inability to hold that sort of a lead is really starting to show now. No one wants the Aegis. Fenris says, I mean, I'll take it, but the cores just don't want to give up a slot for it. Paparazzi.
Because they all feel good about themselves because of the Satanic, right? Like, both of them go for this Satanic pickup where the sustain means that the damage from the Storm Sphere doesn't matter to them whatsoever. And again, they've already dealt with the Bear in so many ways with the static link from the Razor.
And I think, as you're saying, you know, it's just the damage lacking of OG. They just don't have team fight or sort of presence now in this game to the same effect as Vici Gaming's heroes do. There's the split. There's, as we see coming in now, what can they do? They'll try and go for the easier kill. They'll go towards the Keeper of the Light, but he's got the Aegis, you know. Fenrir's like, all right, I got a second life on this one. Rezo will try and finish him off again. They do have the Abyssal drop down onto Paparazzi, but with the BKB and Satanic, he's incredibly tanky. He doesn't even need to use the Satanic yet.
Yeah, he had the refresher start, so he goes ahead, just blows that, another BKB usage, and still has a Satanic usage in his back pocket as well.
Goodness.
At least they forced a lot out of that Razor, but they still have a high ground push they have to contend with in the second push.
There we go. What can OG do to stop this? It feels like if you just do the maths, it doesn't check out. There's too much HP and armor on VG's lineup, but not enough damage on that of OG's, and straight up, there's the Hex immediately locking down Big Daddy No-Tail. He has the Hand of God, but the send back, I mean, it will keep him alive. But with a 23k lead, Vici Gaming just standing their ground. Rezo will sit forward. He's looking for the DK. Ori has the BKB. He turns. They've got the chainstone onto Rezo. Rezo's dead for 65 seconds. No buyback available. S4 caught out on the side lane. They'll lose the Brew. No-Tail as well as they find a triple Burrow Strike from 11, honestly.
Hey, look at it. He's still got a cheese coming off cooldown from Ori. So he not only uses the refresher shard, BKB Satanic, it's the full HP. They bring him low again. He uses his cheese as well. Wow. There's just too much sustain for the side of Vici Gaming.
I gotta say, I am so impressed by Vici Gaming's performance. That was absolutely incredible. To be so far behind at the start, and in a game where it looked like they were finding nothing out of the lanes, and just off one bit of an opportunity, OG make a mistake, and Vici Gaming, the itemization was perfect. They did not look like the Vici Gaming from the first 10 minutes of this game. They just turned and they evolved into just an absolutely different team and they just absolutely dumpstered OG at the end of that.
Yeah, they certainly did. I think there were so many things. The Sand King split pushing, which we already talked about a bit, but the way they used the Keeper of Light as well, in conjunction with that split pushing, allowed them to always be able to deal with the Lone Druid as he went for the high ground. I mean, in all of that, with a Storm Spirit and a Lone Druid with an Aghanim Scepter, all they took was a tier 3.
That was,
And that was like 40 minutes of the game or something when they took that tier 3. It was pretty late. So I absolutely thought, because it wasn't that significant with the metrics-wise, how large OG was ahead, but they just were controlling the map really well. You figure with the Storm Spirit and a Lone Druid, they're going to be able to get everything they need. They're going to split push the hell out of this game, and they're going to slowly take your objectives. I thought that they were so far ahead that OG had this game. I would have put it to like 90-10, but I was completely wrong. Vici Gaming.
We were completely wrong at the start of this. I mean, this is, as I said, I think no one's going to be underrating Vici Gaming anymore, and if you're going up against this lineup, you have to you cannot just, you have to keep your cool. You can't get over aggressive. You can't be super happy with the fact that you have a lead, because these guys, they'll win from behind, and they did it in style. Ladies and gentlemen, Vici Gaming winning the best of 1 against OG.
Vodafone presents the post-match.
Yes, indeed. It is time to break down our opening game of ESL One Katowice. A fantastic victory for Vici Gaming. OG starting off well, but it didn't go well, did it, in the end? Let's find out what our 3 panel members made of the opening game. Gents, Alan, we'll start with you. You know, you all build it up. You all said they had the better draft. They looked the better team. They've been in good form. It didn't work for them game 1.
Well, I think for Vici, the Chinese New Year hangover lasted all of 20 minutes, and they just came back in the game in the big way. That 25-minute fight, going into the 25-minute fight, it was, I believe, 18-3 in kills in favor of OG. The 2 big cores of Vici Gaming were a combined 0 kills, 7 deaths, and 4 assists. And they all of a sudden take 4 OG heroes. Only the Lone Druid survives through that fight. And that was what catapulted the Paparazzi Razor and the Ori DK back into the game.
Will, are you surprised?
Yeah, I mean, I'm incredibly surprised. I thought that that draft, it looked pretty straightforward. We were talking behind the scenes. It looked pretty... like it was just going to be a pretty one-sided game. And that's, man, I am disappointed in OG. Like that, we said how I personally felt like they were the most disappointing team for me this year. And yeah, you're winning these online qualifier games, but LAN is where you prove it. And they just, I mean, that was sad. Like that should have been a stomp. If they play that game online, they probably stomped that, no problem. But they made so many bad plays. Like when they went for that top maneuver, and they lost 4 people trying to get a denied tier 2 tower, and they try to save Jerax. That was like the beginning of the end for me. And I don't like to be harsh towards teams, but it's like that was so disappointing at that moment, because they had the game wrapped up. Like you can play a very formulaic game off of that, but so many individual mistakes.
I mean, at this point, Kevin, it was starting to look like a lost cause. I was standing with Coach Mad as well, and he was very worried at this point, because he felt like they couldn't take a fight, they couldn't push in anywhere, and they were just kind of waiting out for what, though, exactly?
I mean, so a lot of that was the hero matchup stuff. One of the really cool thing about Vici Gaming's lineup was that Coddle dying there, that was the only hero that was easy to kill.
Right.
Old 11 on the Sand King was so farmed that he had Yule Scepter, he had Blink Dagger, he had Ags, he had Force Staff. So actually going on him made it almost impossible to kill him before he ends up staying alive. They didn't have enough chain stun. Witch Doctor in late game situations is not very strong. You can dodge the cast, you can see it coming, you can Force Staff, you can Yule Scepter yourself, you can get away from it basically. So it was very difficult for OG actually to find picks unless they had that big commanding advantage. They did create that, but they threw it away a little bit, and then they lost another fight, and then they lost another fight. So it was really hard every time for Rezo to go in, for him actually to get kills. And even then, his farm level wasn't incredibly ahead at all stages of the game. It always kind of felt like he was having some trouble getting kills, and that's just, I think, the nature of the heroes Vici grabbed.
Yeah, even when they were at their biggest net worth lead, around 8K, it was actually No Tail that had 15K by himself on the Lone Druid, and Rezo was sitting there at 10, not far ahead of the VG heroes. But I think I go back to something that Will said on the panel when we were talking during the intro, and that's that you can pressure objectives, you can control the map, but you do eventually have to win a fight. And with Storm getting set back, not having that farm gap, it just didn't look like he could bring down those Vici heroes.
Yeah. Especially in this game, like when you play the Storm, you have to carry it. Like this should be your game to carry in. Rezo was honestly pretty disappointing. Like it
wasn't the easiest or perfect Storm game, but it wasn't a bad one, was it?
It wasn't, and I think that's why they look so disappointed. Like you can usually tell a lot by team, like how they look after game. Like some respond differently, but like they were just disappointed because I think they also felt like this really should have been a win and it wasn't. And at the same time, like, I want to give Vici all the credit in the world because this was a very tough game to come back into. You can get mentally broken from games like this, call it the 20-minute game, just like, okay, we're playing sloppy, like, whatever, it's a best of one, let's just mentally... No, they decided to play through, they made all the right moves, they did a very good job of dealing with the split push. Like, that was a very mature response overall. They were very quick at dealing with it, they never let No-Tail assault that bottom area, like, they almost always controlled that. As soon as anything got taken, like, even for the tier 3 tower when it was at like 200 HP, instant TP, go for it, try to go for the save.
The other thing, Kevin, as well, is that the frustrating thing against VG for other teams is you know how they're going to play. Yeah, you know how they're going to draft, but they just do it so well.
Yeah, they just stabilized, like you said. They defended the tower. It seemed like a giant uphill mountain climb just to kill the tier 3 tower, and it should have been a lot easier than that. I mean, maybe if OG didn't die those few times, maybe if No-Tail itemizes more for damage or something like that, maybe if Rezo rushes a BKB rather than going for the Perseverance first to build in a Bloodstone, yeah, maybe they can snowball off that better, but they just defended perfectly. The abundance of stuns they had actually really helped in that split push as well, because anytime they do catch the bear once, he's solidified and completely caught. They could use Caudal recall when they did go back and to defend the split push to bring them back to finishing Roche, for example. There's just all these little things that added up that made their lineup actually pretty good at defeating and defending what OG did. But either way, it still was OG making some sloppy mistakes in that mid game that did get them the net worth that helped them defend and take those fights.
Far too many maybes, Kevin, isn't there?
Yeah, it is.
Too many maybes to deal with.
But if they keep it 18-3, they probably win that game for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, that's Dota though.
Yep. No, absolutely. Yeah, and still a long road. Still plenty of opportunities. Let's check in with the bracket right now and show you where things are, because we've also had another game going on, of course, in this group. Liquid playing in that particular game have won their opening game against Effect. No surprise.
Amazing
there.
upset.
Yeah, no surprise. Unfortunately, we don't get the big surprise. And obviously, OG going down 1-0 to Vici Gaming. So we will get the mouth-watering tie in the semi-final of Liquid versus Vici Gaming. I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a fun matchup between those two. And Effect will now take on OG. And gents, I want to mention this because we've seen this happen before to this very team. They don't like dropping into lower brackets against smaller teams because it seems like they don't cope so well with them.
Oh,
History tells us.
OG's been stomping tier 2 teams though this week, so.
And
Okay.
OG, I heard OG have played pretty well in the lower bracket in the past. Maybe.
Yeah, like not for like 4 years or something, right?
Your math's a little off over there, Paul.
It's been like 2 years.
Is it 2 now? Is it 3? I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's like 2.5 or something. But yeah, I still remember Frankfurt. It's not that long ago.
I was gonna say we were there.
Yeah, we
Maybe it was
we
3.
were there. Yeah, good memories and stuff. So that's where we are right now as far as the tournament is concerned. Still more to come, of course. We've got 6 days of Dota 2 action to come here at ESL One Katowice, and still 5 more matches to come on day 1. Don't go too far away.
The Sand King.
It's the Chappie strap.
It is the Chappie strap. And if No-Tail breaks this smoke, oh my god.
Oh, is it gonna work?
It's gonna happen.
Oh, Chappie was right. Where you at now?
Wait, they
Maybe
don't have
not.
the damage.
No, they don't.
Life is all about following a few simple rules. Get married.